All right, guys, so you must watch this video before buying any Porsche. This is our 987.1 Cayman. All these cars have their own issue. You have to be kind of okay with what issues those are. So whether it's a 911, a Cayman, a Boxster, any of that stuff, whether it's even older like 993, even newer, 991, things like that, they all have their issues. The thing about Porsche, it is a very high quality build car. And by that I mean everything is very well thought out, everything's very well sought out, because it is a very established company. So the cars like the 987, 986, 996, 997, they all have what we call bore scoring issues. They can have that, which is where the cylinder walls get scored and scratched up. Some of that's because the metal they use, some of that's because it is a flat engine and the pistons are laying sideways, so it's more likely to score at the bottom. As we found out with our 996, it had some oil cooler issues, it had some PCV issues, as Porsche calls it, air oil separator. I would say overall though, they're very, very reliable car. And this one's no exception. It does puff a little smoke when you start it. Somebody's changed the transmission fluid with the wrong fluid, so it shifts a little funky in automatic mode. Your usual things. Overall, Porsche's had really good paint and interiors. Not a lot of issue as far as interiors go. We'll get Philip to show you in here if that's even possible being outside. It must be black on the camera. The thing to remember about these cars is you have to take it for what it is. It is a special purpose car. This is a two-door, two-seat car. Even a 911 with the tiny little seats in it is not gonna be sufficient for kids or family or anything like that. And we use this car accordingly. It sits in the shop most of the time. Today I got to go somewhere. This hasn't been driven anywhere in probably 2 or 3 weeks. I've been started up and moved to the other shop. And so you have to accept it for what it is. It's not really something you go to the grocery store. It doesn't really haul much of anything in it. It doesn't really have a lot of space in the interior or the trunk, the frunk or the rear hatch. You could go to the grocery store, buy a couple bags of groceries, and that's about the end of it. You're not going to be able to put anything bigger in here. You could easily buy enough for the store. You can't fit it all in the car. We've been there a couple times or nearly there. So, but here we have SUVs, we have the G-Wagon, we have the Sequoia, all the other stuff. We're doing that kind of thing in. This is only a car essentially to go fast in. But the trade-off of that is it's also very reliable in the fact that most of the cars that are fast and are made to go fast are not reliable at all. And that's why Porsche has really taken off a lot here recently. That's why you see the market's going absolutely insane on these things. I mean, insane to the point to where some of these cars are Lamborghini prices, but it's not Lamborghini. And is it worth the money they're asking? Like a 997 right now is just obscene money. It's like 30 to 50 to 60 to 70, 80 grand, depends on what trim package it is. And a year ago, that stuff was 20 and 30. Is it worth triple the price for the car? Just because the market says it is? No. And I do think a lot of those cars probably aren't selling for that much either. I think it seems to be the case with a lot of cars in today's market. People asking a lot, the market's supposed to be high, but you never see anything actually selling and moving at those prices. So today's market, it came in 99.1, came in 987.1, my bad, is, I would say they start around 20 and go up. We're on low mileage, you get around 25, 29 real quickly on these. This car with 129,000 miles on it, being guards red, a black interior, it's probably worth 20, 22, maybe a little more, depends on who's buying it, right? But you have to understand before you buy this car, if it's more than you and one person, this is not going to be a good daily car for you. Now they do make the Panameras, they do make the Cayenne SUVs, the Macan, but then you get away from what this is meant to be, what this is for. This is basically designed as a track car. This is a full out track car. Like you could take it to the track and you could get around most stuff at the track, unless you have crazy other stuff there. A normal daily driver, there's not much that could handle this. This is by far the best handling car that we have. But there again, it is a very special purpose. It does okay in the rain and wet weather. I don't drive it in that because there's no engine in the front, so it doesn't have any weight on the front of the car, so you have to be kind of cautious of that. That does open you up for hydroplaning. If you have any kind of semi sticky tires on it like this does, it does very poorly in the rain, right? This car isn't too bad, but definitely not. If it's gonna be raining, we just won't drive this. I mean, it's just that simple. Other than that, if you want something like a weekend car, or if you drive to work and it's just you could put miles in this car and not have an issue with it. The nice thing about these, they don't have all the coolant problems that BMW have. It's not so extremely expensive to replace stuff on them, to maintenance them. Mercedes or G-Wagon can be very expensive to do maintenance on. And where this one, everything is like a fraction of the price of that. I would say at this point, to be totally honest, our Toyota stuff, our Sequoia, things like that, the parts generally cost more than this style Porsche does, or the 996 does. Where it gets really difficult is the engine. If you blow the engine up, the engine's like 10 grand in this thing. But then the parts to buy for it aren't really that expensive. So it doesn't really make any sense at that point. Like I said before, I think the market's just way up on stuff right now. Or you could buy the Toyota Sequoia engine for what, less than $1,000. But then if you go replace part by part, it costs more than what this. It's very bizarre how it all works out. But overall, if you're thinking about getting one of these cars, I think even though the market's inflated, if you catch a good deal on one, now's the time. These cars will never lose value. The Boxster being the convertible version of this, it's like that does not hold value near as good. Maybe a newer one would, but a 986, 987 Boxster, they don't have the market. So be cautious of a cheap Boxster and thinking you're gonna sell it down the road. That may not be the case. On Porsche stuff, it's all track guys, that track-minded people, race-minded people that buy these cars, and they all want a hard top. So if you see a good deal on a 911, the Cabriolet, what they would call a convertible, be cautious, because whenever you go to sell a convertible 911, it's gonna be hard to sell because nobody wants that. And you do see that in the market, especially on these older like 996 cars. You can find a turbo Cabriolet 996 for way cheaper because people don't want that. I guess I'm kind of the same person. I definitely like a hard top. I don't like a car, if you park it somewhere, somebody could break into it with a knife. And a Cabriolet is definitely that car that you could do that in. So definitely for investment wise, stick with the hard top cars. Cayman is an excellent choice and debatably handles better than a 911. As soon as we get the 996 running, we'll definitely make some videos driving these things side by side and kind of tell you what the better car is at that point. That's gonna be it for today's video, guys. Don't be shy to buy one of these cars. The market's still fairly good on it, fairly cheap on it. And it's hard to lose money on these cars if everything is up and up with the maintenance and up and up with the cleanliness of the car. That's gonna be it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.